Greetings everybody, welcome to your video series for an introduction to sociology. Today's topic, socialization. Let's get started. So what do we mean by socialization? In sociology, socialization is not, hi, how are you? Socialization is really this lifelong process that we all undergo from the day we're born until the day we die. That process teaches us our norms, our values, our behaviors, our culture along each step of our lifespan. Basically, socialization is learning what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. This ties in nicely with our theme 3, nature versus nurture. Nature versus nurture is the age-old debate about where does our behavior come from. Is it more nature? Is it genetics? Are we born to behave a certain way? Or is it more nurture? Do we learn our behaviors based on the environment in which we grow up in? And of course, by now we know that in sociology, the majority of the behaviors we believe are learned. That is a result of our nurturing. Now, in my traditional face-to-face classes, I always start this discussion with an experiment. I break up the students into small groups. And once everybody is in their group, I simply say one word, and that word is begin. Now you can imagine if you were in class that day, what that would be like. Most students register a sense of confusion. They're unclear, they're perplexed, they're disoriented. Sometimes they get angry because they're not sure what to do. But that only lasts for a few seconds. And then what do you think happens after that? Correct. Students start talking to each other in their small groups. They're trying to figure out what they should be doing. Some of them talk about their weekend or their other classes. Some of them try to figure out what are we supposed to be doing in this particular chapter. And I let them do that for about 5 minutes. And then I stop them and I'll go over and I'll say, okay, group 1. And then invariably somebody in that group tells me what the group talked about. Well, we started talking about socialization and we introduced ourselves and we got to know each other a little bit better. Each group, a leader emerges to tell me what the group did in those few minutes. And the question we want to ask with this chapter is, why did this happen? Why do the students behave the way they do? And they behave the same way every semester when I start out the class this way. And the answer is our brains are like computers, aren't they? And when you go to Best Buy or your computer store and you buy a brand new computer, what does that computer do? Nothing until you give it software, right? You tell it basically what it is you want the computer to do. I need you to be a word processor. I need you to be a spreadsheet. I need you to be able to surf the internet. So I'm going to get in a Google Chrome or a Safari program to search the web. But the computer is waiting for you basically to give it information, to give it commands, to tell it what you are going to need it to do. So in the case of the students, all of their brains sort of operated like a computer, trying to figure out what that command of begin really meant. So all of them did basically a Google search. What are we supposed to be doing? And all of the students come up basically with the same search results. And what do you think those search results are? Those search results are small group discussions. All of you have been a student for many, many years. And according to socialization, you have been accumulating information about how to behave as a student for all of those years. We all have a folder in our brain, just like we do on our desktops. And this folder says student. And in that folder, you have been accumulating lots of documents and information over the years that help guide you in terms of what you're supposed to do in a classroom and how you're supposed to behave. All of us have a small group discussion document in our student folder in our brains that guides us in terms of our behavior. What does that small group discussion document look like? Well, teacher breaks class up into small groups, which I did. Group discusses project. Well, the students are discussing with each other. They're not sure what the project is at this point, but they are starting to discuss, and they try to work or solve a common goal as to what we're supposed to be doing. And then as I go to each group and I say group 1, group 2, a leader emerged to report back to the larger class, hey, this is what we did. Magic. It happens the same way every class, every semester, without fail. And it's really because this is an example of the power of what we mean by socialization. This idea of learning what to do and when to do it and how to do it. Students did not have a folder in their head called worst teacher, right? But they do now, right? If I were to do this same experiment with them the next day, they would behave very differently because they would have different information. Oh, this is just the teacher being funny, trying to do an experiment, trying to highlight the power of socialization. So I'm going to get out my math homework. I'm going to get on my phone. I'm going to text my friends until all of this is over. This is why sociology is really considered a social science, right? This is not just opinion. These are ways that we can predict human behavior based on the theoretical underpinnings of sociology, and in this case, of socialization, and the power of what that means in terms of how we all learn what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Was this example more aligned with our nature or our nurture? Well, you can see that when the students start behaving like they always have in small group discussions, this would be an example of nurture. They are relying on what they have learned over the years about how to behave in a small group discussion. Their nature was confused, uncomfortable, perplexed, lost. Their nature was like, I need to get out of here. This is too uncomfortable for me. But their nurture overrode that sense of discomfort, and they stuck it out, and they relied on their small group discussion document to get them through that experiment. That's going to do it for now. Thanks for checking in. Never stop learning, and remember, sociology is everywhere.